Hi everyone, welcome back to Valley View Flower Farm. It's been about a month since my last video, so I thought I better do a quick catch up of where things are at in the patch. It's hot out today. It's about 36 degrees Celsius, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm not going to get any gardening done today. It's just simply too hot. So I thought I'd come out and do a quick update. I won't go through everything that's in the patch. I'll just give you an update of what's been added or what's currently flowering. And it's a few changes that I'm looking to undertake. So as you enter the flower farm, there's been a few changes, and one of them is we've replaced the onions and the garlic in these round raised beds with some, I think this is oats and safflower and wheat. And growing that, I can use the safflower and the wheat as cut flour. I can dry it for winter arrangements, but generally this has been grown as a potential food source for our ducks. And I also have just experimented with some sorghum, which is the big leafed plant there, and as a feed for the ducks, but this is flax, so that can be used as a cut flower when it goes into seed head. And then we have another, so this raised bed has millet, which can be used as a food source for the ducks or as a cut flower. So not only is it fairly hot, but it's also been very dry, and the forecast for February is a dry end to summer and then a wet winter. So if we can continue hand watering, we'll be fine. So the roses are enjoying the heat, and they're really coming into their own at the moment, with ashram still my absolute favourite, and probably Camp David as well. It's another really nice scented rose. These have all blown out, but here's one here that's quite nice. So they're looking great at the moment, and again, first year for these roses, so they will come into their own next year and the year after. My peonies are still done. My peonies, whether or not they'll be okay for next year, they have been really dry. I have been watering them, but obviously as these beds are only newly established, there's not a lot of organic matter in them, so keeping the water up to them has been slightly difficult. So it's Dahlia time in the garden, and this one is Winky Rhubarb. It's just about finished that flower bud, and they are suffering a little bit of heat stress this afternoon, but they'll perk up later on. And this one is Mandalay. It's a really nice one. So the bronze fennel's been going really well, and I've enjoyed using that in arrangements. The rest of the flowers that we've been using has been the celosia. This patch here is only just starting to flower now, and I've used a little bit of this amaranth here in some arrangements, but that'll come into its own probably in the middle of February. I've got some seed dahlias in. Whether or not they'll come to anything by the time we get a frost remains to be seen, but I had the seed, so I thought I would germinate it. My cinnamon basil is going well, and I'm quite impressed with how that performs. Sometimes it wilts, especially on a hot day if I pick it, but I condition my flowers overnight, so it's not too much of a problem. I have some asters just about ready to bloom. So I've not grown asters before, so I'll be interested to see how they perform. And the snapdragons are coming again. These are the Potomac series for their second flush, which will be nice, and I've just got to keep control of the caterpillars. My sunflowers have been okay. The mites have still been a problem, and I am getting some flowers. Here's one here ready to crack that I can pick and put in the fridge, but a lot of them are still deformed, which is a bit disheartening. The Lysianthus has been going okay. It's just starting to flower now. I have lost some. I think it's a combination of not being able to keep the moisture up to the beds, and I'm really going to have to look at investing in some drip irrigation. So I let the first flower go, and then when the second one flowers, I'll cut the original flower off and the rest should bloom. So that's why you'll see a few here we've still got with flowers on them, but I'm just waiting. So this one can be harvested, this flower removed, and then this one and this one will be the main bloom. Because I haven't grown amaranth or celosia before, I've just been trying a few different types, and I'm quite impressed with the hot biscuits. I didn't pinch them, so they're quite big, but I quite like these smaller side branches. So I have been using some of these big ones, and some of them I'll just let go to seed, but the ones I've cut off the side branches have been really nice to use, and then the normal celosia has been fun. I love this this pink colour. The zinnias, always wonderful, always easy to look after. We don't have problems with powdery mildew or pests because we're not humid enough, so they've been a great addition. You will hear the quad bike in the background. That's because we're mustering stock. We have to do some shearing tomorrow. But these are potatoes in the background you can see, and in front of those are some gourds. So this is my dahlia patch, and I did interplant my dahlias with marigolds, which was a bit of a mistake because my marigolds were ginormous, and my dahlias suffered as a result. So I've taken all the marigolds out, and a lot of the dahlias I need to now trim back so they can regrow. But I have some really beautiful ones. This one here is Oberon. And I've just focused on dahlias that are the small decorative types, or the ball dahlias. This one in particular I like. And I just find they just add just so much to a bouquet, especially the smaller ones. I do have the names for these dahlias, because I did have them all labelled, but the birds pulled a lot of the labels out. So, but I have a list in my office which has the names of all the dahlias. And these are my chrysanthemums, some of which I have cut back, some of which I haven't. And the only reason I haven't, I've done half and half, is if you cut them back on Australia Day, which is the sort of end of January, you'll have flowers for Mother's Day, chrysanthemums, but we usually get a big frost before Mother's Day. So I'd like some flowers earlier than that, because I may not have flowers for Mother's Day. So I'm just going to see how they go this year. Bit of an experiment. So my Liatris finally flowered, and I've picked quite a few nice blooms from there, and I expect them to be better next year. And this one is just amazing. It's massive. My Rebecca is going okay. I wasn't sure how to treat it. I did cut it back hard and I don't think it enjoyed that, but it was getting really heavy and I couldn't keep up with it. So this Dahlia is called Winky Cavalier, another beautiful one, and a little bit heat stressed today with lots of blooms and lots of buds to enjoy. So one of the main changes in the garden is in this corner here. I've tidied up. We had some old garbage bins that we used for storage in the corner. So I've mulched and put some plants in that corner to sort of soften the fence a little bit. So as I've said before, the long-term plan is to make the area a U-pick, and in order to do so I need to soften the farm a little bit, because there's a big shed and the dog yard and things like that. So I want to make this like a perennial garden which people can cut from, but also how to display and how to grow different types of perennials that are also suitable as cut flowers. So some additions, I've got this purple perennial here, that's the obedient plant. I've got a white one as well. Now they can be thuggish in the garden and I will see how that goes. I also I've had a lot of success with Sanguisorba. So I have a Sanguisorba here. This is the red Tanner Sanguisorba, and it makes a beautiful addition to an arrangement. So if you're in Australia, I get those from Woodland Perennials. They're based in Tasmania, I think it's Tasmania, and they have some great perennials that you can add to your garden and use also for cut flowers. The eucalypts are going really well. I'm really happy about their progression. So the beds are made up with a bit of a mix of cut flowers that I have in the raised beds, and some different perennials. In a previous video I talked about Solidago Evita. This is the smaller, grows to about 1 meter high, and this is what I use as a filler. Now I've cut this plant back, there's 3 plants here, and I've cut that back 3 times and it's regrown 3 times. And this is the preferable stage that I like to cut it in, but it does flower and it still looks beautiful in flower, but I prefer it in this chartreuse stage. This is my Cafe au lait. They've just about had it. I need to come in and deadhead. But another plant that I've been using a fair bit of, which has been really nice, is this Achillea, and it's like Achillea the Pearl, which is a white Achillea, which I use as a filler, but this is the pink version. So I'll just have a look at the tag and I'll read it to you. So it grows about 50 to 60 centimeters high, which is just tall enough as a cut flower. And I like the habit because Achillea the Pearl tends to flop over a lot, where this seems to be more upright. So that's a nice one to try. It's really windy here now, so I'm not sure how this will record, but I just wanted to show you the newest update on the farm. I've planted over 40 types of Australian native cut flower, whether they're rice flower. We have all sorts of different types of tea trees, and wax flowers, and Perennials. It's a bit hard to see, and I'll do another video specifically on the varieties. And that's a wax flower there, seedling. And I'm just going to see how they go in this section of the garden under a bit of shade. This is where they like to grow. And hopefully they'll be successful. So this wilty little fellow here is about to flower, and that's the Persian basket flower, I think. And it's been an interesting one to grow, and it's quite a distinctive flower. It's sulking at the moment because it's hot. I'm hot, so I know how it feels. But it'll perk up this afternoon and I'll give it a bit of a drink. And then this other one, which I think is the sweet sultan, it's been good as well. Although I find the plant does die back quite easily. I think it needs a little bit more water than I'm willing to give it. But they've made an interesting addition to a bouquet. So this is my weedy attempt at growing some grains or grasses, and wherever I have plants in the ground like this, I just can't maintain them because I do this as a bit of a side hustle. I don't have enough time to keep things weeded as well as I would like. This is why I find the raised beds are perfect for me. I can easily maintain the raised beds and I don't have weed pressure coming up from the sides. But what has been a success is the wheat, and there's a little bit here I've gathered for bouquets, and that's been really nice. I just need to cut the rest of it off and then dry it because it's pretty much finished. But in its peak, it is a nice bluey grey colour, and people are quite intrigued to have wheat added to their bouquets. So I'm still patiently waiting for this perennial cornflower to flower, and maybe next year, but it's certainly vigorous and I hope the flowers are worth it. I grew it by seed. I can't exactly remember what variety it is. I'd have to go back through my records and have a look. So I hope that maybe spring next year it may flower, but I'll leave it intact to see what happens. And I have a decent batch of cosmos, which is nice. I don't really use much of it in bouquets. I prefer this double cosmos. I don't pick it open like that. I would pick cosmos more like this or like that, and just have it poking out the top of the bouquet, because I just find that it doesn't last long enough, and people don't really understand that flowers have different, lifespan in a vase, and that they should pull out any spent flowers in order to keep the bouquet maintained. So if any flowers are slightly fickle or don't have a good vase life, then I usually don't include them. So I did have some more seedlings of cosmos to include in the garden, but I've actually run out of room. I do not have any room left for any additional plants, which is sort of sad. And it means I need to reconsider a few crops, and maybe, that batch of status there, I've got so much status I can't use it all. Maybe I should pull that out and put something else in there. But that's the joy of the first year, just working out what I like, what I don't like. A lot of this bed, which is a hodgepodge, and there's another bed, a couple of beds at the back there, which are hodgepodges of perennials. I'm going to dig all them up and then move them over into the perennial beds and just leave these for crops. because they're still nice to have, but they don't need to take up this space. So this is a perennial that I'll absolutely always grow, and I won't grow the annual version of it because I haven't been impressed, and that's Phlox. I've got 3 different phloxes in this little bed here, and I will move them. But they have been so good in bouquets, and I usually pick them, this is probably a little bit more advanced, but I pick them with a few open flowers and a lot of closed buds, and they will keep opening up over time, and they're just beautiful. And the scent is amazing, and the stem length is good, so they're definitely a winner. And like I said before, we don't have problems with humidity here, so I don't have powdery mildew or anything, issues like that with these plants. I am still waiting on my mugwort to flower, and it's supposed to be big white plumes, perfect for filler. So with great anticipation, I grew this seed probably this time last year. So, and it is a perennial, which I know is slower, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing this in bloom. So just a quick update on how we went with the germination of the Craspedia or Billy Button seeds, and they germinated really well. So they'll be in the little trays for a little bit longer until they develop bigger roots, and then I'll plant them out over the autumn period. I also experimented with some divisions of Billy Bells, and there are some fine roots coming out the bottom, so that seems to have worked also. And these here are the cuttings I took. Solidago seems to be going okay. It's even starting to flower. Feverfew, everything's worked, I think, except for the Sanguisorba, which I'll have to do as divisions. So thank you for watching. I'm gonna go inside and have a cold drink. It's just a short video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Just a quick update of what's happening, and I will do a further video with more details on the native Australian cut flowers tube stock that I have planted, and why I planted them, and their growing conditions, if anyone is interested. But until then, thanks for watching, and bye.